Condemned Criminal Origins is now 7 years old. It was one of the first games on the Xbox 360 and one of the few survival horror games on the system at the time. The game was created by Monolith Productions, the same developer behind the Fear franchise, and it was published by Sega. You can now find the game in many game stores for dirt cheap. For example, I only paid £6 for my copy. Now it's 2012 and there is a lot more competition now in the survival horror genre on consoles. Hello everybody, my name is Chase Sorkin from UnionJackGaming, and the question is, does this game still hold up as well as it did 7 years ago? Let's find out. Condemned story opens up with your character named Ethan Thomas arriving at a crime scene. You are a forensic specialist and your job is to examine the scene of the crime. A serial killer has been killing innocents and cutting parts of their bodies off whilst also placing them into lifelike positions that involves the use of mannequins. As you are examining the crime scene, a cop hears a noise and goes to check it out. It turns out the killer has been watching you the whole time.
He's right above us! Call for backup now!
This is Officer Becker. We need backup immediately. 4th and start. Potential homicide suspect still in building.
Officers are on their way. ETA 10 minutes.
Copy that.
Becker and I will head up the fire escape. You wait here for backup. Shit! Okay, now he's playing with us.
You then take part in a short chase to find the murderer. When you find him, he takes your gun and kills the 2 cops you were with and throws you out of a window, crashing into the streets below. Framed for the cop's murder, you then set out to find the killer and clear your name. The story in Condemned is actually surprisingly really good. It sucks you in and never really lets go. Ethan Thomas is a great character to play as. He is determined to find this serial killer no matter the cost. Trying to figure out why the killer kills and why the city is going to hell is some of the most enthralling and entertaining fun I've had in a survival horror game in a long time. If I were to compare this game to something, it would be either Dexter or CSI. It's just a great mystery story that is held together by a great script and some great characters. Not to mention the game's villain is interesting and will actually freak you out at times. The game makes you feel like a real detective, and for a survival horror game that is really quite amazing. All I will say is that the end scene of the game really dumbfounded me and really didn't make any sense. But if you forget about that and see the story for what it is, you'll have a great time.
I believe you found Mr. Tibbetts. Image seems to match personnel file. It didn't come through properly though. Can you take a close-up?
Help me.
Help is on the way. Who did this to you?
So what about the graphics, you ask? Well, considering the game is actually 7 years old, it actually looks pretty good. Although you will see a lot of muddy textures and dated animations, the game's graphics aren't ugly at all, which is a huge surprise. The environments all look delightfully drab and bare, and the melee weapons and firearms all look a little dated though, especially the shotgun. The lighting effects are excellent and really create a sense of loneliness. The worst part of the game's graphics are the character models and facial animations, which all look incredibly old. Seriously, the faces in this game look like chunks of clay, and the lip syncing is very hit and miss. Overall, everything is serviceable if you can get past some shortcomings. After all, you gotta forgive it because the game is 7 years old. The voice casting Condemned is excellent and everybody sounds believable in their roles. The game only has a handful of voice actors because the majority of the game is following your character Ethan and Rosa Angel, the cop who helps you at the forensics lab via mobile phone. Because of this, you really get to know these 2 characters. Greg Grunberg, who you might know as Matt Parkman from Heroes, voices Ethan, and he is the standout voice of the game. Considering you spend most of the game with him, his performance had to be believable and realistic, and he pulls off both aspects with ease. Ethan is a great character and Greg really knows how to play him.
Thomas, answer me! What's happened? We heard an explosion.
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just a fuse box shorted. I seem to be trapped over here, and I believe the suspect has my gun.
What? How the hell did that happen?
The soundtrack in the game also helps towards creating a creepy and disturbing atmosphere. All the subtle little noises and effects really draw you in and make you fear what's around the corner. The music is used sparingly, only to give the player a sense of dread when something bad is going to happen, or to freak the player out to enhance a jump scare of some kind. Overall, I would say the sound in this game is phenomenal.
Agent Thomas, Officer Becker. I don't know if they're on a new drug or...
Thomas Dickinson, there's one coming your way. Addict amped up on something.
Federal agent, come out peacefully or I will use force.
Fuck you!
Now let's get to the gameplay. Does it hold up? The answer is yes. Yes, it does. The melee combat is still the center of attention, and it really holds up. Providing a thug with a beatdown using bashes, blocks and counters is still as invigorating and rewarding as ever. My only problem with the fighting system is that it doesn't have any combos or really any depth whatsoever. But surprisingly, it still is a lot of fun to crack a crazy skull in with a pipe wrench, and it really never gets old. The enemy types in the game range from small skinny gremlin looking dudes to huge fat tank looking dudes that take a crap ton of damage to take down. The variety in enemy types and character models is good enough that you don't feel like you're constantly taking down the same people. Melee weapons and guns degrade over time as well, so you are constantly picking up new weapons and seeing which one works best on certain enemies. There are even a few guns in the game, but don't expect to use them as much because they are really sparse and rare to find. As you can expect, being a forensic investigator and all, you will have to investigate crime scenes and gather evidence. The evidence gathering tools are cool to look at and use, but as you feel like you're doing something technical, but really these sections of the game just serve as interactive cutscenes, as they are extremely easy and you cannot leave the crime scene area while these parts play out. Overall, I would say that the gameplay is a lot of fun and still holds up 7 years on. The only downside is the investigations, which were a bit of a letdown. Now we come to my verdict on Condemned Criminal Origins. This game is actually the oldest game I have reviewed so far on the channel, and it still is a great game now as it was when it was released in 2005. The story is interesting, a great murder mystery tale, the sound is atmospheric with excellent voice acting to boot, and the gameplay is as solid as ever. Taking into consideration how old the game is and how much you will get the game for, I would give the game an 8 out of 10. Condemned Criminal Origins is a great title that survival horror fans shouldn't miss out on, but the story's length and lack of replayability lets it down though, as the game can be beaten in 6 to 8 hours. With no multiplayer modes and or challenge modes, there really is nothing to do after you beat the game. But at the price it is now, I would say buy this game. You will find it in most stores for around £5, which is about $7. You have literally no excuse to not try this out. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you liked the video, please leave a like as it really helps me out, and leave a comment voicing your opinion on the video in the comment section down below. I also have a Twitter account and post a lot of gaming updates there, so be sure to follow me if you're into games as much as I am. See you guys.